I thought our love was pure, a luminous beacon that would outlast every storm, until one night when a hushed whisper barely audible over the rustle of leaves outside our window shattered that sacred illusion. I lay awake in the stillness of our bedroom, the gentle breathing of my partner beside me, when I caught fragments of a conversation not meant for my ears. It was a single word, a soft, sultry murmur, that spoke of hidden desires, of a secret yearning that I had never known existed in him. In that heart-stopping moment, every promise he'd made, every I love you we'd shared, splintered into fragments of betrayal and confusion. I realized then that nothing was as pure or eternal as I believed. I remember our early days with a clarity that still makes my heart ache. We met on a brisk winter evening at a mutual friend's holiday party. The room was warm with laughter and flickering candlelight, and I was immediately drawn to his gentle humor and sincere eyes. We talked for hours about our dreams, our favorite books, and the kind of future we both yearned for, a future built on trust, honesty, and an unyielding love that could withstand any trial. I believed him when he promised that our connection was something special, something pure that would never be tarnished by doubt. We spent our first months wrapped in each other's arms, our whispered vows and shared secrets creating a cocoon of safety and devotion. I was utterly convinced that what we had was extraordinary, a love that would light up our lives like the stars on a clear night. As time went on, our relationship deepened and the plans for our future became intertwined with every aspect of our daily lives. We painted the walls of our small apartment a soft, hopeful blue, bought a bookshelf to display our favorite novels, and even sketched out a roadmap for the adventures we would embark on together. Every evening as we lay side by side in the quiet dark, he would murmur promises of forever, reassuring me that our love was unassailable. I trusted every word, clinging to the vision of a shared destiny that we both nurtured with tender care. But then subtle changes began to seep into our routine. He started coming home later, his face sometimes shadowed with an unreadable expression. I noticed how he would occasionally glance at his phone with a furtive air, his smile fading ever so slightly when I entered the room. I dismissed these as quirks of a busy man, rationalizing that work stress could sometimes steal moments of distraction. I told myself that our love, as pure as it was, could easily overcome any fleeting lapse in attention. I trusted him implicitly, until that one night when everything changed. It was a cool, crisp autumn evening. The world outside was hushed under a gentle rain, and I lay awake in our dimly lit bedroom, unable to sleep for reasons I couldn't quite name. The soft sound of raindrops tapping on the window filled the silence, mingling with the steady rhythm of my partner's breathing. I listened, half expecting to be lulled into dreams of our future, but then I caught it, a barely audible whisper, something that shouldn't have been there. It was so soft that at first I wasn't sure if I'd imagined it. But as I strained to listen, I realized it wasn't my mind playing tricks. It was a real, sensual murmur, laden with a tone of desire that did not belong in our intimate space. My heart pounded as I sat up, every nerve alight with confusion and dread. I couldn't make out the full words, only fragments. A name, a longing tone, an invitation to something secret. I tried to recall if I had heard it before, if it was part of a conversation I'd missed, but nothing made sense. The sound seemed to come from behind the closed door of our bedroom, a furtive exchange that I was not meant to hear. In that moment, every promise he had made, every tender I love you that had once given me solace, seemed to shatter into countless pieces, each one a painful testament to a betrayal I had never suspected. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotion. I replayed that night over and over in my mind, the sound of that whispered name echoing in the depths of my thoughts. I began to notice more, small inconsistencies in his behavior that I had once brushed aside. There were moments when he would excuse himself with vague phrases like, "I need to take this call," or "I'll be right back," and I would see him slip away into the hallway, his footsteps echoing softly. I began to wonder if that mysterious whisper was the first crack in a facade I had so desperately clung to. I questioned every comforting word he'd once uttered, every promise that our love was pure and unbreakable. Doubt, once a stranger, had now taken up residence in my heart. In a state of quiet desperation, I started to investigate. I wasn't one to pry, I had always trusted him completely, but that night's revelation had ignited a spark of caution that I couldn't ignore. I began by paying closer attention to the moments he claimed were ordinary. I observed him in our living room as he walked through his phone messages, noting the way his eyes would sometimes drift away when he received a call. I started to record these moments in my journal, jotting down times and feelings, trying to piece together a puzzle that was slowly revealing a hidden truth. Then one day while I was tidying up the study, a room we rarely used but kept for quiet reading, I found something that made my blood run cold. Tucked behind a stack of old magazines was a small handwritten note that seemed to be part of a larger conversation. The note was dated a few weeks earlier and contained a few cryptic lines that hinted at a secret meeting, something about tonight's rendezvous and a night of passion. My hands trembled as I read it, and I felt a sinking realization that I had been blissfully unaware of a secret life unfolding right under my nose. The note didn't mention a name, but it carried a tone that was unmistakably intimate, a tone that belonged not to our shared life, but to a hidden, forbidden desire. I sat there, the note clutched in my hand, and tears welled in my eyes as I tried to reconcile the image of the man I loved with the reality that was slowly coming into focus. I remembered all the times he had assured me that our love was pure, that every word of his "I love you" was a vow meant for me alone. Now, every such word felt tainted by a lie, every promise a fragment of a betrayal I could no longer deny. My mind raced with questions. Had he been hiding another life? Was that whispered name part of a secret relationship that he had carefully concealed from me? I felt the sting of betrayal seep into my bones, and in that moment the future I had envisioned, a future of shared dreams and unconditional love, seemed to crumble into dust. The revelation forced me to confront a painful truth. I spent the following days in a haze of disbelief and heartache, rereading that note and scouring my memory for any missed hints. I began to notice patterns, subtle behaviors that, in hindsight, were clear signs that something was amiss. The late-night phone calls, the furtive glances at his phone, the slight hesitation in his eyes when he thought I wasn't looking, all these details now painted a picture of a man leading a double life, of a love that was not as pure as I had once believed. Unable to ignore the mounting evidence, I decided that I needed to confront him. I knew that a confrontation would be excruciating, that every word would be laced with the pain of betrayal, but I also knew that I couldn't continue to live in a world built on lies. I spent several long nights rehearsing what I would say, standing before the mirror until my reflection looked back with a mixture of heartbreak and steely determination. "I trusted you with all of me," I repeated softly, "and now I see that trust was nothing but an illusion." Each repetition was a promise to myself, a vow that I would not let this betrayal destroy me, that I would reclaim my future even if it meant shattering the past. The day of the confrontation arrived on a cool, overcast afternoon. Our home, once filled with the soft murmur of shared dreams, now felt oppressively silent, as if the walls themselves were mourning the loss of trust. I sat in our living room, the handwritten note and every scrap of evidence trembling in my hands, waiting for him to return. Every minute dragged on, filled with the heavy tension of unspoken truths. When he finally walked through the door, his expression was unreadable, an unreadable mix of surprise and apprehension that sent a jolt through my heart. I stood, took a deep breath, and said in a voice that wavered yet grew stronger with each word, "We need to talk." He hesitated, his eyes darting around the room as if searching for a safe haven, but I had already set the stage. I placed the note on the coffee table, along with a folder containing the evidence I had painstakingly gathered. "I found this," I said, holding up the note so that he could see the familiar yet now venomous scrawl of his hidden messages. "I trusted you when you promised me that our love was pure, that every "I love you" was meant for me alone. But this tells a different story. Who is the voice I overheard? Who is the person you're hiding from me?" His face fell, and for a long, painful moment, the silence between us was heavy with the weight of shattered dreams. He tried to offer excuses, vague, halting explanations about work, about stress, about nothing in particular, but his words were no match for the undeniable truth laid out before me. I pressed on, my voice rising with the pain of every broken promise. "How could you live a life of lies, building a future with me while secretly nurturing another desire?" I demanded, each word laced with heartbreak. The confrontation was a maelstrom of raw emotion, a collision of trust and betrayal, of love and deceit. I saw the regret in his eyes, the silent admission of a secret he had carefully concealed, and my heart ached with the realization that the man I had loved was not the man I thought I knew. In the aftermath of that shattering conversation, I was left to pick up the pieces of a future that had crumbled into dust. I spent days in a state of numb despair, wandering through our once happy home as if I were a ghost, each room a painful reminder of a love that was built on lies. I questioned every memory, every tender word, wondering how I could have been so utterly blinded by trust. The pain was immense, a constant gnawing ache that seemed to seep into every corner of my being. Yet even as the sorrow threatened to overwhelm me, a spark of determination began to flicker in the depths of my wounded soul. I knew that I had to reclaim my life, to rebuild my future on a foundation of truth, honesty, and self-respect. I reached out to a trusted friend, someone who had always been my anchor in times of turbulence, and I shared every painful detail of the betrayal. Her compassionate words, full of empathy and quiet strength, reassured me that I was not alone, that my worth was not defined by his deception. "You deserve a love that is honest," she said softly, "and you deserve a future where your trust is never taken for granted." Her words became a beacon of hope, guiding me through the darkest moments and urging me to take practical steps to reclaim my identity. With her encouragement, I began to gather every piece of evidence into a comprehensive dossier, a digital folder I labeled Truth. I saved every message, every screenshot, every detail that confirmed the secret life I had uncovered. I reviewed our shared memories, now tinged with the bitter reality of his hidden desires, and slowly, I began to see that while the pain of betrayal was deep, it was not insurmountable. I realized that I had the power to transform my heartbreak into a catalyst for growth, a painful yet necessary step toward rediscovering who I truly was. I sought the guidance of a therapist, whose gentle presence helped me navigate the labyrinth of emotions that betrayal had unleashed. In the quiet sanctuary of our sessions, I learned to confront my grief, to process the searing anger and profound sadness, and to channel that raw emotion into a determination to rebuild my life from the fragments of shattered trust. I poured my heart into my journal, each entry a cathartic release of the pain, a testament to the strength that was slowly, imperceptibly emerging from within me. The journey was long and filled with setbacks, but with every session, every tear shed, I began to reclaim the parts of myself that had been lost to the illusion of our love. Publicly, the unraveling of our once beautiful future became a quiet undercurrent among friends and family. Whispers of sympathy, sideways glances, and gentle words of encouragement followed me wherever I went. I began to share fragments of my story on a personal blog, writing with unfiltered honesty about the heartbreak, the betrayal, and the painstaking process of healing. The response was overwhelming. Messages from strangers who had experienced similar betrayals, kind words from old friends, and a shared understanding that true strength is forged in the fires of adversity. Every message was a reminder that I was not alone, that my pain resonated with others, and that the scars of betrayal, while deep, could also be symbols of resilience. As the months turned into a year, I slowly began to rediscover who I was before the betrayal, a woman with dreams, passions, and an unyielding capacity for love. I ventured back into the world of dating cautiously, each new connection approached with a blend of guarded optimism and the hard-won lessons of my past. Every sincere smile, every genuine conversation, helped to mend the shattered pieces of my heart, slowly weaving together a tapestry of hope and renewal. I learned that true love must be built on transparency, that every promise must be honored with honesty, and that I was worthy of a partner who cherished my trust as much as I cherished his. With each passing day, the painful memories gradually gave way to a future defined by strength and self-respect. Now, as I sit in the soft, comforting light of my modest apartment, a space that I have lovingly transformed into my sanctuary of healing, I reflect on the long, winding journey that has brought me from the depths of betrayal to a place of quiet empowerment. The memory of that whispered secret, a sound that shattered the purity of our love, remains etched in my heart as a painful reminder of the fragility of trust. Yet it is also a testament to the inner strength I discovered, a strength that allowed me to confront the truth, to reclaim my dignity, and to rebuild my future on my own terms. Every sunrise now is a promise of new beginnings, a chance to rewrite my story and shape a future defined not by the lies of a deceitful past, but by the unwavering light of truth and self-respect. I now move forward with an unshakable conviction that I deserve a love that is honest, transparent, and built on mutual respect. A future where every promise is honored with sincerity, and where my worth is cherished above all else. I am no longer defined by the betrayal that once shattered my heart. I am defined by the resilience I have discovered within myself, by the strength that carries me through every challenging day. Every new morning is a blank canvas, a chance to paint a future filled with hope, genuine love, and the unbreakable promise that I am enough. This is my story, a journey of shattered dreams and heart-wrenching betrayal, of the painful process of uncovering a truth that I never wanted to face, and ultimately, of the triumphant reclamation of my life. I trusted him when he promised that our home was built on love and honesty, believing every word was a sacred vow meant to last forever. But when I discovered the hidden secrets, those messages, that note, that whispered secret that exposed his hidden desires, I was forced to confront a reality that shattered the world I had once known. In that devastating moment, I found the strength to gather every piece of evidence, to face the painful truth, and to reclaim my future from the ruins of betrayal. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of raw, unfiltered pain has led me to this place. A place of quiet strength where I now stand as a survivor determined to live a life defined by truth, self-respect, and the unyielding promise that I am worthy of a love that is real. Every new day is an invitation to begin again. A promise that even in the aftermath of the deepest betrayal, there is an opportunity to rebuild, to rediscover who we truly are, and to forge a future that is entirely our own. I now step forward with the unshakable belief that my destiny is mine to create. A future filled with genuine love, unwavering honesty, and the brilliant light of self-respect. And as I look toward tomorrow, I carry with me the lessons of the past and the hope that every sunrise is a fresh start, a new chapter waiting to be written. A chapter that I will shape with the power of my own resilience and the unbreakable spirit that resides within me.